Okay, class, this is a continuation from where we left off from the last tutorial. And in this tutorial, we designed this website that has a navigation already. We also have some links to the home page and the contact page and 3 columns at the bottom. Now we're going to talk about how to make these alternate pages. So I'm just going to bring this over to the side here so we can jump back and forth. And what you basically want to do is use the home page as a template for your secondary pages. Now, something that's really important about this is that the home page is completely coded. It's approved by the client. It's approved by whoever the graces are that need to approve it before you start the secondary. Because let's say you make a typo on something, you have to change it on every page that you create. So it's good to just get it over and done with, get the first page, home page approved before secondary. All right, with that being said, I'm going to come over here. I'm working in brackets. I'm going to control click and make a new file. And you can see here that I called my secondary page about.html. So I'm going to make sure it's consistent with what I used on my home page. And the second page I created was called contact.html. Notice no capitals, no spaces, all that good stuff. So over here, I'm going to make another one called contact.html. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my index page and I'm going to select all, Command A on a Mac, Control A on a PC, and I'm going to copy and I'm going to paste this into both my About page and my contact page. So basically right now, if I come over here and I start clicking through my pages, nothing really happens, but technically if you look up here at my URL, a lot is happening. It's changing pages. They're just all exactly the same. They look the same. So instead, what we can do is go in and make changes on those pages. So let's start at the About page. I'm going to come in, I'm going to leave everything that is going to remain constant throughout my website, which is basically the logo, the navigation, and this large red footer. And I'm going to get rid of all the middle stuff. So I'm going to get rid of everything to here. But notice I kept the container because I still want this contained. I just don't want the left and right above. And in here, I'm just going to type About page, just so we can make sure this is working. I'm going to do the same thing on that contact page. I'm going to delete the left and right div, anything that makes this page specific to the index. And I'm going to write contact. Save. So now when I come over here and I preview it, what you can see is on my home page, everything is the same. On the About page, it says About page. And on the contact page, it says Contact page. And you are very easily be able to navigate through all these pages. Boom. All right, now we actually have to put content into the contact and the About page. So what we're going to do is let's start with the About. And this is going to be a 2-column, similar to the home page, but with different dimensions. So I'm going to delete that little bit of text that I created to see. And instead, I'm going to make a div, ID equals, and I'm going to call this About Left. Notice the name is very specific to the About page. I can't use the word left because I use that on the index page. You cannot repeat divs you already used. So you can come up with some naming configuration to how you want to organize. I'm going to make this called right and left. So with that, these were not named on other pages. So I can now go in and give them some different parameters. I'm going to come to my style page, and I always like to comment out here and say About page. So we know that this code right here is really specific to the About page. And while we're at it, let's do it for the contact page too. So it kind of, again, you're just trying to stay organized within your website. So in here, what we did is we had an About Left, squiggly, squiggly, and an About Right. Squiggly, squiggly. And let's go in now here and put some content in. So on the About Left, I'm going to put an image. and it's called about.jpg. And in the about right, I'm going to put an H2, a headline that says about us, and then I'm going to put a paragraph that, oops, this is the bio. So basically we're just giving it some actual content, and we're using, notice the headlines and the paragraph tags to keep us organized and then be able to design in the CSS. I'm going to comment here that this is closing the about right. This gets super confusing with all these different close divs. Okay, I'm going to save that. And if we preview this right now, I have a million things open. You can see they're just stacked on top of each other. We have the bio picture, we have the H2 and the paragraph right underneath it. Everything is touchy-touchy on this left side, which I hate. So we need to give these a couple rules. So coming to the CSS here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give both a width of 50%. And the left, I'm going to float to the left side of the page. And the right, I'm going to float to the right side of the page. And you want to get into the habit of doing something and then previewing it. So that looks a lot better, but this is still touching. So I always like to put padding. So I'm going to put a padding of 20 pixels, which will do it on the top, left, right, and bottom. And whenever you use padding, you also want to add that box sizing border box. So I'm going to do that. And if I look here, a lot better. Last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to right align this photo so it just kind of moves over. So I'm going to do text align right. Now we're really close together. That looks great. If we want this H2 to be red, I'm going to come back over here and I'm going to put H2, squiggly, squiggly. Notice there is no pound or no period in front of it because it is not an ID or a class. It's just an HTML tag. So I'm going to come up to the top. I already have that color, so I don't have to look that up. Amazing. And there we go. So here we have another 2-column on a different page with different parameters. Now let's go to the contact page. And this one we're going to make 1 column. So I'm going to put div ID equals. I call it contact because that makes sense. And then I'm going to come down here and say that this is closing the contact so I don't get confused tomorrow when I look at this. And in this section, I'm going to do an H2 again, and I'm going to do email us, and a paragraph. So kind of the same setup. Remember how to link to an email address. It's going to be href equals, in quotes, you're going to do mail to, the email address. And then in between the 2 active tags is where you're going to actually put the text. So if you test this out, you can see text here. That's what it's actually going to be visible. In this case, I'm just going to do test@test.com. Looking at that here, that looks good, except this is blue, which I don't want it to be. So we're going to have to fix that. It's also touchy-touchy on the left side. And let's do one more thing. Let's add a Google map. Nope. Maps. So if you go to google.com/maps, this is what will come up. And if you put in your business, so I'm just going to put pie shop. I don't know. Let's see if we find a pie shop. I don't know what this is, but let's do this. Here's a pie company. And if you have it actually zeroed in on this, what you can do is go up to the little hamburger, which is these 3 lines up in the top left, and go to share or embed map, And here, this is one of these interactive maps that are super nice to include on your site and easy to click the word directions and locate. And it allows you to choose a size. So you can say small, medium, or large, or you could be very specific and give your own dimensions. I'm just going to say small, and I'm going to copy this iframe, this code that they give us, and I'm going to put it there right underneath my email address. Great. So what we have here now, if I test this out, again, you can see I have my interactive map. That easy, right? It's amazing. We have an email address, and we have our headline. So the only thing I want to do is just center it in the middle of my page. So what I'm going to do is come back over to my CSS, and I'm going to add in my contact div, squiggly squiggly, that I want this to be text align center, and that centers all my content right there. So now what we have is, if I go to my home page, I have my content here. If I go to my about page, I have different content here. And if I have go to my contact page, different content here. All right, let's do one more thing, which is that email address, because I hate default blue. Don't leave anything default blue, unless that's your color scheme. So what I'm going to say here is, in the contact div, there is a link, an A, and I want the color of this to be, whoops, not that. I want that color to be red. So I'm being very specific. And I always like with text to have actually the underline for links in the actual content area. It just makes you kind of know they're clickable. And then let's give it a little rollover, because anything that's clickable, we want that to have a rollover. So underneath that, I'm going to do pound contact A : hover. So the rollover on that link in the contact div. And let's do that to be the brown. See how useful it is to have those colors up above? Oh, just too many of those. And let's do that. All right. Come back over here, test it out, and it works great. And that's how we can make an easy 3-page website.